Hi, everybody. Hi. This is Tevra Francis, and thank you for joining us for a special edition of NJ in Color Meet the Candidates. My name is Tevra Francis, and I'm founder of NJ in Color. And today we are honored to have a special guest, Dr. Dale Caldwell, candidate for New Jersey Lieutenant Governor. To paraphrase his illustrious bio, Dr. Dale Caldwell is an educator, pastor, father, and public servant. Having spent his life serving the people of New Jersey in the public, private, and higher education sectors, including leadership roles at Fairleigh Dickinson University, the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, and the United States Tennis Association, to name a few. He currently serves as the president of Centenary University and is the pastor of Covenant United Methodist Church in Plainfield, New Jersey, where he is guided by Proverbs 31:89, which directs us to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. So without further ado, let's go and get to know Dr. Caldwell. Let me bring him in. And we are going to chat with Dr. Dale Caldwell. Thank you, sir. How are you?
Good. Honored to be on your show. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you so much. So you have a very packed schedule. I'm very well aware. So I'm going to try to keep this as succinct as possible. But we want to get to know who Dr. Dale Caldwell is. So let me get right to it. So as I said before, I met you at the 2025 Empower the Village Empowerment Summit, where the focus was how to equip our communities and businesses for times like these. As a Black woman business owner, I want to know how you and Mikie Sherrill plan to protect and expand opportunities in the state of New Jersey for Black, POC, LGBTQ, and minority groups if elected.
Well. One, I think one of the reasons that Mikie asked me to join her on the ticket is my background in businesses, especially businesses of color. So I ran the Entrepreneurial Institute at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and as the first Black president of Centenary University, I started this Institute of Entrepreneurship. But I've had my own consulting firm for many years, working with doing a lot of leadership training and other things. So I've been New Jersey's minority certified and others, and so I understand the challenge that we've had to really get access to the contracts that we've had. So I'm one of all of you. So, as Lieutenant Governor, one of the things I'm going to do is really make that a priority. And Mikie and I have talked about that. I just spoke, at the Obama rally. I talked about the fact that, 25% of the businesses are Black and brown, yet they've gotten a small percentage of the contracts. And Mikie and I are focused on changing that. One of the things that we want to do first is expand the Business Action Center, which has been the group helping local businesses. But we need to do a better job of getting information out. Information is power.
Yes.
Access to capital is critical. So by using the state to make sure that people know about opportunities, we can do that. The other piece is labor, is employment. And so as an educator, I was on the New Brunswick board for 26 years, president of a university, making sure that the workforce is great for small and large and other businesses. So that's one of the things we want to do to make sure that you have a workforce dealing with some of the trauma of being in urban communities. So we're really committed to making that a priority.
Great. So thank you for that. And thank you to Empower the Village for even making it possible for me to meet someone like you. And they're just a really great program. They're doing an excellent job. I really am thankful that I got connected to them. So the next question, this is a two-part question because I am a mother of two children under the age of 4, and my husband and I are no strangers to the concerns of most New Jerseyans as it pertains to affordability, education, and healthcare. I'm also acutely aware, having had 2 babies back to back, basically, of the Black maternal healthcare crisis that exists in the state. So how do you and Mikie Sherrill plan to address the vast disparities that exist in all these different areas and make New Jersey better for our families?
Well, I hope my internet's not messing up here. So a couple things. So you're asking about affordability and healthcare at the same time. And so Mikie is the only candidate that said she's going to freeze the utility rate increases. As you know, our utility bills have gone way up. And that's unacceptable. And so we're really making sure that we're going to make the investments and things like solar and battery power and nuclear and the infrastructure for natural gas to really look at that, but also to make sure that PJM and some of the other suppliers aren't milking the system. There are a lot of middle folks. We talk about the same thing in healthcare, the pharmaceutical, the PBMs, they're middle people that are driving up these rates. So Mikey's talked about this transparency and accountability to make sure that, we all accept that healthcare is going up exponentially, but nobody really understands why. So as governor and lieutenant governor, one of the things we want to do is to make sure that people know what's going on. And it is a major crisis, and black maternal health, and so Mikey has made that one of the early on in the primary. She talked about really making that a focus of what we do to make sure that we have the support we need to make sure that and she talks about a story of a black woman who worked in a hospital, a nurse who didn't get the treatment that she needed. So we are making that a priority, and we're talking about it to really focus on that. Issues around affordability, around housing, whether it's buying a house, the first-time home buyer, first-generation home buyer, investing in the affordable housing trust fund to make sure that's fully funded, but also stopping predatory lenders. A lot of us are renting and other things. They're predatory lenders, they're predatory landlords, they're predatory investors. One of the most disturbing things I've heard in Atlanta, there's one venture capitalist that owns 19,000 homes. And they're jacking up the rates, under a Sherrill Caldwell administration. Those are the kinds of abuses that we need to stop. So there are a whole bunch of things. The good news is it looks like we're in great shape to win. The challenge is now we're going to govern. So we're going to have to do things innovatively. And the thing that Mikey and I have, as a woman in the military, as an African-American man, we're fighters. Yes. And so we need to make sure that we fight for you and that we're the voice for everybody here. As you mentioned, Proverbs 31:8-9, to be a voice for the voiceless and speak up for those struggling. That's who we are, and that's what we don't have all the answers now, and anybody who tells you they do isn't telling the truth, but we're going to fight for those issues.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to insert a question. I hope they don't get upset with me, but you did talk about the voice for the voiceless. And as you know, right now we're dealing with food shortages, furloughs, federal workers out of work right now, not getting a paycheck. So do you have just a quick 2-second, what would you say to them very quickly during this difficult time?
Well, first, that's a reason to vote. Jack Ciattarelli has supported all of that stuff 100%. He gives Trump an A. So if you think things are bad now, vote for Jack, and they're going to get much worse. So it's really important for us, especially communities of color, to recognize that I was just kind of on the text beating up some people there who said, don't you understand that Jack will not do anything? Trump won't let Jack do anything for minority businesses, or minority healthcare or minority communities. So one of the things that, Mikey was one of the lead champions for the Gateway Project. Thousands of jobs are being lost because Trump stopped that. And Jack supports that. And Jack even says that's not a New Jersey issue. So you have that side. The other side is we've got to figure out a way to really make sure that folks have opportunities to work, really create that. We're going to expand. We're not going to increase taxes at all, but we need to expand the tax base, which means more black and brown businesses out there generating ratables. So that's what we need to do, is really make sure that this is a working economy. The other thing we want to do is make sure government works for the people. And right now, having been deputy commissioner at DCA, I see so many things in government that actually put roadblocks in the way of businesses, or the way of average citizens, living their best life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. So moving right along, because I know our time is getting short. So we want to get to know who you are. So let me go ahead and fire up the teleprompter. Your father is the Reverend Gilbert Caldwell, who was a friend of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which is amazing. So tell us about who you are and how your upbringing and experiences got you to this point.
Well, again, my dad marched arm in arm with Dr. King. My favorite picture is my picture of my dad, Ralph Abernathy, and Dr. King in Boston, organizing a march to integrate the Boston public schools, where my dad actually marched arm in arm with Dr. King. But my dad was in Selma on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. He was in the March on Washington, so I grew up around that. My only regret is back then, I'm older than you. They didn't let kids. They protected kids by not. I could have shaken as a little kid Dr. King's hand. I would have loved to say I do that. but I'm carrying on the legacy. And the reality is, I really believe if Dr. King were alive today, he would be supporting entrepreneurship, small businesses, labor, all the things that Mikey and I are talking about. And so I've always been focused on making sure that we speak for those who are less fortunate, having all this education and experience, but also the small business experience, but also the whole volunteerism. I'm a big believer in volunteerism, and I had the honor of winning the Andrus Award. AARP gives an award to one person in every state who's the top volunteer. So in 2021, I had the opportunity to win that. And I think, it's important. So Mikey and I are going to really celebrate volunteers because they really make so many things happen, whether it's a political campaign or a feeding program or other things. And so, I feel the pain of folks who are struggling, and that's who I am, and that's why I'm excited about being lieutenant governor, so that we can really have the influence to really get to our communities that often have been overlooked.
Thank you so much. So, and here's another fun fact: you're also in the Hall of Fame for the USTA, the Tennis Association.
For tennis, my dad I grew up in Galveston, Texas, and black people weren't allowed to play in the local tennis. And so my dad, when I was born, said my firstborn son's going to learn tennis. So I learned tennis. I did very well. I became the first black, unfortunately, the only black president of the USTA Eastern section, and the first black person to be on the USTA board. I was nationally ranked in my age group, and so tennis has been something that really opens doors of opportunity for me. As a black man, and so, but it's also a sport that really helps people address problems. And so, it's been important, and I've been blessed. And I started the Black Tennis Hall of Fame, the Black Inventors, the Black Entrepreneurs, because I want to memorialize Black history. And by creating halls of fame, you memorialize that. And I'll make sure you get the web addresses for those halls of fame.
So for those of you who are looking for more information about Dr. Caldwell, you can find more information at www.mikiesherrill.com, including his full bio, which is, go ahead and give it a read. Like, there's so much that I wanted to pack into this short amount of time, but I literally only have one more minute. And so this has been a fantastic conversation. As you guys all know, tomorrow, Tuesday, November 4th, is Election Day. If you have not done so already, get out and vote. If you need more information, go to vote.nj.gov, or you can go to, and I have the website here as well, mikiesherrill.com/vote for more info on what's important to you and how you need to proceed when you get to the ballot box. So
let me end with that. So, our relatives died for the right to vote. And I've been disturbed that so many people take it for granted. And so I'm telling all of you, and I always like to end with this, to make sure that you get your family, your friends, your relatives, your kids. President Obama the other day had a funny thing: pull off that uncle who's lying on the couch, take him to the polls. So we need to really do this. And we know what the other side is doing. So you don't have to agree 100% with all of us, but we've got to get out and vote. We've got to represent our community. And here you have a black man. I'll be the first black male lieutenant governor who's running for office. So you need to vote like you're voting for Obama, because this is that important. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, and have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you so much. And you know what? And to your point just now, you're following in the footsteps of Lieutenant Governor Oliver and Lieutenant Governor Way. And so we couldn't be more proud. Like, I really wish the best for you. And let's see what happens tomorrow. But thank you so much for your time. I also want to thank Rajan, your communications lead. And also,
he's fantastic.
He is. He worked hard to get me this moment, and I thank him for it. And also to Miss Estina Baker, who is everything to me. So thank you so much for your time, and you guys have a great day. Be safe out there. And if you haven't voted already, in early voting, everybody, go vote tomorrow. You have all day to vote, so make sure you get out there. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't fight so hard to take it away. So with that, Dr. Caldwell, thank you for your time.
Thank you all. Take care, everybody. Be well. Bye-bye.